Alright, welcome back. Well, today we're gonna mess around here. I found this water pump pulley out of my stack of pulleys. It lines up there pretty darn good with the motor plate because now we've added this on. The water pump came out there, the thickness of that plate. And eBay was grateful enough to give me my 2-inch spacer here. And also on eBay we got a fan shroud, 17-inch mechanical fan shroud. We're gonna have to bolt the front of this together so that we can put it in. When we put the motor in there, we can set our end play distance inside that frame. So how far do we need to go back, because we really want it like within an inch. Close enough that we can bolt it on, take the fan shroud off, and be able to put all this together and bolt it on. But not too far away. You know, we need to be far enough away, but not too far away that it can't, you know, it just pulls air from not through the radiator, just kind of pulls air and puts it out. We'll build a fan shroud in there and later to kind of help force it, suck it through that radiator. But we need to put all this together now. All this good stuff. It needs to be put together. Now I have a clutch fan that I could use to go on there and not had to pay. I think this was like 16 bucks and this was 60. You not had to spend the money on that. But you ever been at a drag strip and you've seen a clutch fan, they'll just fly off and go in the crowd. I seen a guy get really hurt in the stands once with a clutch fan. They'll just give up and the whole thing will come off and it'll go through a hood, it'll go through fenders. You ever watch that happen, you won't run a clutch fan on anything. You'll go mechanical fan and this, you know, $80, $100, whatever it is, it'd be well worth it not to kill some little kid going down the road and the clutch fan fell because I gave it too much hell doing a smoky burnout. So the clutch fan is gone. We're not going to use that, and I'm going to bolt this together now. Alright, we got the fan installed. Got plenty of room here, crank pulley, and we got a out of 30 pulleys we found one that's going to work. We'll end up making brackets and bolting on a 1-wire GM alternator over here. Most likely this plate's going to have to be cut, you know, a circle for it, part of that mount. We won't know till we, actually I don't have the alternator here with me, but the bolts they sent with the kit were wrong. So luckily I found some in my bolt bin over there. And so now we're ready to put that in. And like I said, we'll hang a GM 1-wire alternator over here, so the voltage regulator, everything will be contained in them. It's like 60 bucks for a 60 amp alternator, and that's all you really need. I mean, if you want to do crazy stuff, you can get them 200 amps. The more you go up in amperage, the higher they cost. That's an old hot rodder trick and drag racer trick. You shove the 1-wire alternator on there, you put like a little connector wire on for the field, and you run 1 wire to the battery and you're charging. That's it. 1 wire out here hooked to the battery, and that's and a belt on there, and that's all you need. So that's an old hot rodder trick. Put a Wilson, makes a 61 amp for 60 bucks. You can buy it from O'Reilly's, probably buy it from all the major places, but we'll make brackets or buy brackets and hang that out here later. But we need this on to set our spacing when I put the motor in. Okay, here's one of the clutch fans that I was talking about. This thing shouldn't be allowed to exist. I mean, you can see the damage. But anyway, You notice that shaft, I'm able to spin it here, right? Well, if that spring and clip comes off, this whole thing becomes a giant ninja star flying through the air while that part's still bolted to your motor. That's the reason why these things are, you know, legal to run on the drag strip most cases. And well, this one looks like it hit something, or it's absolutely junk. I mean, if you want to have a stock looking motor or whatever, you know, here you go, put a clutch fan on. But and they're on millions of vehicles, so you can say, yeah, you're just being overreactive. But if you've ever seen one of these come off and go through a hood and then go hit somebody, you would not run that. So I just, you know, that's my opinion. And I personally think that, you know, it's going to be inside a shroud, so nobody's going to see it, but it looks better and it functions. So the clutch fan design doesn't spin until the spring gets built up enough, you know, it builds up enough centrifugal force to lock that up. And then it starts, so it's actually slipping all the time, where the mechanical one, even at idle, it's pulling air, you know. And faster you go in RPMs, it's locked to the RPMs, where this one can slip before it locks up. You actually get better cooling, you know, out of that than you do out of this. The reason why they use them is the motor can heat up faster, and it makes it more reliable to drive quicker without sputters and that in the cold, because the fan doesn't actually cool until you're up moving in RPMs. That means, you know, you're already moving. You know, the car's warmed up enough to move. So while the car's warming up, the clutch fan is just sitting there slipping. The fan's not working, not pulling any air through. The motor's able to heat up faster. On a hot rod, anything you want to put any power in, take this, throw it away. That's my opinion. Alright, so what I've done is I've moved my motor and I've eyeballed that fan to be about 1 inch away from the radiator. And what that's going to allow me to do is come back here and see, it's basically going to be right there with the firewall where my transmission is going to land. It's going to set real pretty in there, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a tape measure and eyeball center line up to here, and then I'm going to add the 3 inches that I want a clearance around this bell housing, and that'll allow me to go over here. See, I got a square set up on the ground. I'm going to set up and get my 1 inch offset, and with the number of the I get off the transmission and how wide it is, I'll be able to go in there and cut that out where it actually needs to be for this little project that we got going on. So I'm just showing you my layout process. I'm going to find my 1 3/4 off. I'm going to find how big I need that hole to be in diameter. And then I'm going to lay it out on that firewall, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to make sure that I'm at least 3 inches bigger than what that measurement is there for that line that I laid out. Alright. Alright, so eyeball and center line up of that tail shaft to where that firewall is going to land. It's basically 6 inches. So this thing ain't gonna focus, but we're gonna add, so we're gonna go over there 14 inches up plus 6, basically 20 inches off the ground over there is gonna be the top of my firewall edge. And then I'm gonna measure how wide it is this way. So it looks like, you know, at that line there. I need to be tail shaft to the kickdown linkage. Looks like 17. Well, like I said, always make it bigger. 20 to 20 inches, and we're going to make it bigger than that. So we're going to go over here and see what that, we really hold our 3-inch there, it'd be 26. So I don't know if I can get away with that or not. It might have to be a little tighter. Start laying it out and see what we get. Alright, I got this laid out to cut it out. This was the old center line. Now this is my new center line with my offset. And then this is where the gas pedal bolts on. So it's going to be gone. Should give me plenty of room. You can see where I got the square set up back there. So this is going to be the center line. And we're going to cut this out. I'll be able to put the motor in, start leveling it up. I need to go back there and cut that out for the tunnel too. So I need to make a cut in there. And I need to decide whether I'm going to ever air ride this truck or not. I guess I could cut. I mean, who cares, I could cut. But it'd look better now with the tunnel short. Because if you go to do air ride, the back of that tunnel is going to have to allow for that drive shaft to go up in the frame. Which means that back would have to be cut up really high. I don't know if I'm going to like that or not. I'll probably just run this thing on leaf springs forever. I mean, it gets the look that I got now. And really the air ride's not the greatest because you go down the road and one of those fittings fail and next thing you know you're dragging the ground, you're stuck. So, and I've had buddies that built plenty of air ride trucks and it just becomes another liability most of the time. They look real cool, but they're not something you're going to take out and just drive and have fun with. A lot of times now somebody will come in and say, hey, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Well, you know, I'm not going to argue. That's true. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. I just spew out crap. But I think I'm going to cut this hole. You know, I think I can build that tunnel to look nice. You know, this section, the beginning section. So I'm going to cut this out. And I've cut the whole firewall off of cars before. So it pisses me off. I don't care. I'll resheath it if it ends up being wrong. But we're gonna cut this where I got it marked. You can see how crooked they had it in here before. See, that's the center line of that. But we're gonna move it back to the actual rear end center line. And hopefully I can clear this stuff. I think after modifying the booster like I did before, this isn't going to be used. I'll end up just whacking that off because the steering knuckle should go underneath the exhaust. I should, you know, I'm making my own exhaust, so it really doesn't matter. And I'm not going to use this shifter, you know, linkage on the column, I don't believe. Even if I do, I can always modify, cut, make this bracket however I want. It may just be perfect. I might end up using it. But I popped the cable out, and the pedal's gonna come off. It's gonna get cut off. Bad thing is on the inside, the brake pedal lever is probably gonna have to be modified for this pedal to go over. But that's real easy. I'll just change the arm, move the pedal over that way. I got plenty of room to go that way. This nice thing about doing this on a modern cab. I mean, the old 20s, 30s, 40s cabs, there's no room inside of them, and it becomes, that's why you see a T-bucket and sometimes the brake pedal's way over here. Like how are you ever going to touch that, you know? And the gas pedal will be non-existent, and you know, they didn't make enough room in the 20s cars. And so, but using this modern cab, I got all kinds of room in there. backboard. You know, people got fatter, I guess. So I'm going to cut this out now. I'm going to go back here, make a cut. I thought I'd show you what I meant by the gas pedal in here. So this is where the stock one is. We're going to cut like here to open up, because remember the whole cab has gone down almost 12 inches now. So all this stuff that was okay before, because the cab was higher, this hole was going to be okay. Now it has to get bigger. So what I'll have to do is put the gas pedal over. And to do that, I'm either going to have to just lop the end off this. Bad thing about just lopping the end off, that's the easy solution. This pad, you know, the anti-slip pad, I won't be able to find one. So the next solution is probably going to be to whack this off. Whack it off here, move it over, and just make it straight. Because you see there's all kinds of room that brake pedal can go over. So the brake pedal is probably going to have to go over. Gas pedal will have to go over. It's really not that big a deal, but it's going to have to be modified. And the tunnel is going to be made bigger. But, you know, I probably could move this one over. Reuse it, but $60 on eBay they sell a whole pretty hot rod pedal. It will come with the cable, and at some point when they make it that cheap, there's really no reason to, you know, I used to modify everything. Like I had to make every single part, and it just got to be to where, you know, if they're selling them that cheap, it's just make it work. You use that stuff. I don't have to make the cable, and I don't have to make the ends and all the brass pieces and do all the threading on the lathe and all that. And I could just order it and it'll be here in 3 days. So nobody ever really cared when I made every single part. It was cool for me. I thought it was something. But anyway, this is what I got going on. This is all going to go that way. And we're going to cut this hole bigger now. Alright. Alright, I got her cut out of there. And got our little thing here made. I'll say this again. I know I've said it 12 times, but nobody's ever going to go up and say, man, look how tight he's got that tunnel. That tunnel is amazing. That he did such a good job. No, nobody's going to give a damn about the tunnel. Just put it in there and make it big enough so you can just service the snot out of this thing and not have any problems. Alright. Alright, so the red lines here, I've laid out, cut, I put the drive shaft in and I got it squared by running the tape up and down the frame, both sides. And I got it pushed in the back and the rear end there. So I'm going to cut that out. It'll be an inch on each side. And it'll give me the ability for it to be able to travel up in there. I might go a little bigger, just a hair bit bigger. I'm gonna cut it out right now, and I'll probably cut this lip off because it's just gonna be annoying to try to put that into the floorboard. So I'm gonna cut that out, and I'm gonna cut this out, and then we'll be ready to put the motor in. Alright, so I got a hole cut here for the back of the drive shaft. Now I can go out, see if I can bite this engine in here by myself. I might have to call for some help on Thanksgiving. That might be hard, so I got no patience. We'll see what happens. Well, the motor's in. Went pretty well, other than I had to take that exhaust manifold off on the side. It ran into that shifter on my steering column, which I was thinking about just putting a B&M ratchet shifter in there, but it might come off. But I mean, none of that really matters other than to make the exhaust. So the exhaust might be interesting, this tube, because you know they're gonna be able to come straight out. So but there's plenty of room. Might have to bend all these up because I want them all to look the same. Bend them up, buy a couple bends, and go straight out here. But I mean, that'll hook right up. And then this one down here on the bottom, the fan clears it. And I think if I just shorten it, hell, that one would hook right up. So it's looking pretty good. I got her in there by myself. Of course, that steering linkage is gonna go either through that plate, which I might get a bearing I can just bolt on, run it through there, you know, cut it so I could take it in and out, take this plate in and out, cut it from the bottom. Or I just might make my bracket in the inside here, because I got all kinds of room. But she's ready to start making motor and transmission mounts. All in all, it's going pretty well. So I got all kinds of Firewall. I did a pretty good job on it. You can't see it with the camera, but we'll go in the inside here. There's the transmission. Might be a little high on the jack right now, but the Firewall's cut out. There, I got all kinds of room. My shifter linkage and all that stuff, which is good. Because I want to have room over there to do that shifter linkage stuff. I want to make sure that I have plenty of room here. And I'll just have to make that cross member mount. And I think it's going pretty well. So far so good. I know that tunnel should be okay. But we're actually starting to look like looks like something now. But yeah. Anyway, motor's in. Fits in there pretty good, I think. I'm gonna leave that hoist just hooked to it for now until I get everything. I could unhook it if I wanted to, but something silly happened with that transmission jack, but anyway, motor's in. I make some motor mounts. Been a pretty productive day. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm calling it. Check in.